Well, Cindy, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So, as a productivity coach and speaker, I want to know, I know we're heading into a new year. We went through the pandemic. How much of that pandemic did you feel the ripples that are still like going on right now? Are you completely over that time period, or does it still affect the way that you live and work now?
Yeah, well, I not too long ago retired as a teacher. So I had to go through the whole pandemic as a teacher and trying to run a business on the side.
Wow.
Um, and what I saw in terms of online businesses is that everyone decided to open an online business
Yeah.
because they were stuck at home in front of their computers. So uh, what I've seen is just a saturation in the market, and then a lot of people are not willing to trust as easily. So one of the things that I try to do is let people get to know me by doing things like this so that they can see I'm a real person. My voice doesn't always sound this bad, but uh, it does make it a little bit slower time period in order to build relationships with people so that they, know what they're getting into if they decide to work with me. Um, but I've also seen people crave human contact now because they were kind of shut off for so long. So there's a lot of people who are looking for connections and things like that. But yeah, and a lot of people started working from home. And of
Yeah.
course, as a productivity coach, that gave me a lot to work with because some people have trouble building a structure at home. They're so used to someone else doing it for them.
Yep.
And so I've had several clients where our main objective was helping them figure out how to create a structure on their own and build their own deadlines in to get things done um, working from home,
Yeah.
you know.
It's interesting. The field of education, probably out of all professions post pandemic, probably get hit the worst because all of these kids didn't have any mileage on their odometer. Their socioeconomic world or their social and psychological worlds were taken away from them. So it seems like that was probably one of the rougher. I mean, were you planning on retiring? Was the living through the pandemic a part of it? How did that transpire?
Um, well, I did retire a little early, but I don't know that the pandemic inspired that as much as just I wanted to grow the business. I
Yeah.
really enjoy, I love kids, but I wanted to work with adults and I was ready for a change and began to just have trouble doing both well. And I really just felt like it was time to transition. There were things that I wasn't able to do. For instance, I wouldn't have been able to record this podcast at this time because I would have been in school. So
Sure.
everything had to be at night and on the weekends, plus grading papers. And I was a language arts teacher, so
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of grading, and so it was just time to make a choice. And so I decided to, um, to step out before I got too burned out. So many
Totally.
people wait too long. And it was scary. It's, anytime you take a risk, you don't know how it's going to turn out. But I'm a person of faith. I prayed about it and I decided, talked to my husband, decided it's this time to do it. And it's turned out well. I'm writing a book and I'm speaking and coaching clients and really enjoying it. So
So let's talk about this other part of your career right now, post retirement. If I put you in front of a bunch of third grade students at career day, one of the kids is curious what you do on a daily basis right now for a living. How would you answer them?
So to third graders, I would explain that I help people get organized and use their time well. That's,
Yeah.
that's probably about all they would understand.
Yeah.
That they could do their jobs better if they turn things in on time and get places on time and things like that.
So, what did you want to be when you were in that third grade realm of your life? What was your dream?
Oh gosh. I don't even remember third grade. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Let's see. At one point I wanted to be a professional athlete. That
Okay.
didn't, but I was into sports in school, but never even close to professional. I did want to be a teacher at one point. And you know, just different, it would change
Yeah.
different times. I used to line up my stuffed animals and would talk to them
Yeah.
like a speaker or a teacher. Or so this is all kind of natural for me to explain things to people, inspire people. Of course, I taught middle school, so I had to have a sense of humor to do
Wow.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I do speak, I like to introduce humor. And so, for instance, I'll talk about taking a little scroll break on my phone, and it turns into 30 minutes of watching puppy yoga videos on YouTube. And I try to put a little humor in there.
Sure.
And so it's a good fit for me, for
So,
sure.
yeah, no, so I'm curious, what were these foundational seeds that were planted early on? Take me back to where you were born and raised. How did teaching and becoming a business owner with kind of a focus on productivity, how did all of this happen?
Well, I would say, as far as the business idea, that came as an adult. I'd always been entrepreneurial, but I didn't know how to do it really. Everybody has all these ideas, and I think, well, um, that would be great someday if I could do XYZ, but then it never happens.
Yeah.
Um, but as an adult, I'd been working as a school counselor and a teacher and worked with a lot of kids that had ADHD. And I started to think, I really recognize these symptoms in myself, but I didn't really know anybody who got diagnosed as an adult. Now that's more common. But back then, I finally went to a psychologist and got a diagnosis of ADHD as an adult. And when I started to look back through that new lens, things started to click.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, that's why I changed jobs like 8 million times and have a bunch of unfinished projects and overcommit my schedule all the time and forget things. And, you know, um, but even as a kid, I had a little business where I painted barrettes, hair barrettes.
Yeah.
And my dad I put them all on a ribbon with little numbers by the different designs. And my dad would drive me around to hair salons, and I would leave my little samples, and they would take orders for me. And then I would go back, I'd collect the money and paint the barrettes. And, so I already had this lemonade stands, all that kind of thing. I wanted to have my own business. And so having this new diagnosis of ADHD, I thought, I really need to be my own boss. They kept changing my job every year. Why don't you teach STEM this year? And I'm like, what? Why don't you teach language arts? What? They kept changing my job because I was certified in everything, which was a mistake probably. And changing my grade. And I thought, this is stressful. I mean, I can do this, but I really want to do my own thing and be my own boss. And so when I took that leap, I joined a business coaching program to show me how to set up an online business, and I got an LLC, um, and really began to feel fulfilled as I started helping other people. Because before that, I had kind of just read everything I could get my hands on, went to seminars, learning all about adult ADHD, just selfishly because I wanted to help myself. But I figured out what worked and what didn't. I figured out which strategies work with an ADHD brain. And I really believe everybody was created on purpose for a purpose. And
Yeah.
so my whole philosophy is don't try to wish you didn't have ADHD. Just understand how your brain works, and you can actually leverage it as an advantage. And there's tons of super creative, successful people who attribute their success to ADHD. Sir Richard Branson, a multi-billionaire,
Yep.
he's been interviewed a lot, where he says he would not change having ADHD. He attributes his creativity to that sort of thinking, out of the box thinking.
Yeah.
So I began to really just kind of embrace that. And once I've put a framework together that really worked, then I started to help other people.
Yeah.
And what I found is that it works even if you don't have ADHD. If you just resonate with those tendencies, these are ADHD friendly strategies, but they really do work. Um, and, it's not really just about time management. So a lot of people will say, well, I just need more time. No, you don't. You have the same amount of time you're always going to have that everybody else has. It's more about directing your focus and your energy than time. And then you can put your best energy towards what matters most. So it has a lot to do with figuring out what your priorities are, you know. So, I mean, there's a lot more I could say about that, but that's kind of
Yeah.
it in a nutshell.
Yeah, totally. So I'm curious, who has been that inspiration, that bedrock for you in your life and your career that you've looked up to? Maybe a hero.
Um, well, there's been several. I had strong parents, um, and my dad always encouraged my creativity and my desire to start a business. Um, I've had several business coaches. Right now, I'm working with Kim Walsh Phillips and Justin Guarini.
Yeah.
Justin was the second runner-up on
Uh-huh.
American Idol, so they work together to train speakers, and I really look up to them. She's a great trainer for marketing, and he is more of the performance trainer. So working with them together has been great. I've had some spiritual mentors over the years. I actually have a background in ministry before education. I went to seminary, and Billy Graham was the chairman of the board, so he was one of my heroes. Um, and I worked with an organization called Young Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of heroes there. Um, but there's not really just one person. But what I do think is important is, success leaves clues, and follow people who have already done what you want to do or gone where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, especially on the internet, that just call themselves a guru. um, they'll stand in front of their private jet and say, follow me, you can make all this money. And um, but I really learned fast that you have to dig into their, more about their actual results to find out, is there longevity there? What's their reputation? Do they really know what they're talking about? And do they really care about me as a person,
Yeah.
and not just trying to see me as an agenda, trying to make a buck? And so there are several business coaches that I follow that I respect. Another one was Ryan Levesque, who's head of the Ask Method company. I think he has a lot of good insights. But there's not really just one hero. But I do think it's important, for your listeners to really uh, take time to get to know more about the person. I'm not necessarily comfortable on video, but I think it's important because I think people need to know that, you know, a little bit more about me. Sometimes I have a little fake background going right now, but sometimes I let my dogs on the video,
Sure.
things like, so people can kind of get to know me. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Um, you know, be authentic. That's what people are craving now with all
Yeah.
the AI and everything. People want to know, are you a deep fake or are you
Yep.
real? You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How do you balance this? this level of helping people get to a better place in their productivity and their lives, which means you have to give a lot of yourself. But you also have to evolve as a human being. How do you balance all that, being at the top of your profession and taking care of yourself as a person? How does that work for you every day?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it goes back to priorities. You've probably heard of the illustration where there's a jar of rocks and you put the big rocks in first, so that everything will fit. Uh, and I think that when I look at my calendar, I do put in the big rocks first. I have my physical health. I have an exercise class that I go to, and it's always in there. So I wouldn't schedule a podcast interview during that time slot, because that's important. Church, family, things like that. Sleep. I used to not get enough sleep as a teacher. Very few teachers do,
Yeah.
but I've really tried to, uh, change the little things so that it makes a big effect. And sleep just seems like a little thing, but if you prioritize sleep, exercise, um, this year I pick a word every year, kind of as a theme, and this year it's connection. So this year I'm going to focus on relationships, personal relationships, and business networking relationships. So that has to be a priority. And so I do, I use a calendar scheduling tool, kind of like you did for this podcast. And so I won't just have an open calendar. So people can only book time to speak with me when I've scheduled it in. So things like that. But you have to be intentional, and you have to know what's important. And you do have to, I hate the term self-care, but you do have to take care of yourself, because the best thing you can give other people is a healthy you.
Yeah.
And I feel like if people are paying me money to help them, then I owe it to them to show up as my best self. So it's not fair to them if I come half prepared, or um, upset about something emotionally and bring that in, or anything like that. So you do have to uh, prioritize that. Have a morning routine. You hear that a lot.
Yep.
And so I journal, read the Bible. I'm going to read through the Bible in a year this year. And I walk my dogs in the morning, have breakfast. Like I do these things that kind of set me up for the day, and I do them every day. And that makes a difference. So I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers your
Yeah,
question.
it totally does. Yeah. So of all, when you look back on the arc of your career, what are you ultimately the proudest of that you've accomplished?
Well, there's not one thing in particular, but just the testimonials that I get when I hear people say, because sometimes I'm with them for a long period of time. I don't necessarily know how they feel, but then I'll ask them, could you, write me a little paragraph or something telling me about your time in the program, my group coaching program. And when they say, well, when I came in, I was this way and I learned this and now I'm this way, that just is very fulfilling to me. And I'm just grateful. There's a lot of ways. There's probably a lot of easier ways to make money. And I don't make a lot of money doing this, but uh, it is fulfilling to know that I can make a living helping other people. Because when the light bulbs come on and they see that there's another way to live, that they don't have to be overwhelmed and scattered, and that they can actually be focused and reach their goals, that they get excited,
Yeah.
and that's fulfilling to me. Um, just recently, something that I was proud of is that I won a speaking contest, and it was a goal that I had. I entered all these various online speaking contests, and they give you like 2 minutes, and that's it. And then if you go overtime, you get eliminated, and you have to tell a story, and you have to have a little call to action at the end. And So there's these rules, and uh, you know, I would change my talk, I would practice, I would record myself on Zoom and watch it back, and this past one I got first place. So I was very proud of that, and it encouraged me that I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Everyone out there has a perception of you in all these different roles. Family, friends, everyone that sees you speak, clients, but ultimately you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, Gosh.
$10,000 question.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm a leader, a person who has walked the path and found a way out and can help kind of like a flashlight, shine the way for others. I never really share strategies that I just read in a book somewhere. I only talk about things that have actually worked in my life, and in others' lives. I mean, I went from chaos and overwhelm and being all over the place to earning two master degrees, having a successful career as a teacher, starting a business, married the love of my life. I'm a grandma, all while having ADHD. And I don't say that to brag. I say this is possible
Yeah,
for everybody, but people just don't know how to do it. No one's showed them how, and no one's showed them ADHD friendly ways to do it, because a neurotypical brain is going to respond differently to somebody who might have ADHD or those tendencies. Um, and so, and there's, I could go off on lots of tangents with that, um, but that's who I am. I'm
yeah,
somebody who's using, you've always heard my mess is going to become my message. Well, this is me trying to prevent others from floundering around for years like I did.
yeah,
I'm a late bloomer, and others don't have to be that way. They
yeah.
can reach their goals way earlier in life than I did.
Well, it's never too late, though. That's the thing, because people do have to put
That's right.
dreams on hold. Life happens, things can come up, but that's the thing that's so great about your story is that you've harnessed it, you're helping other people find it. So, with that being said, if anyone wants to reach out, they're on the fence and they want to consult, they want to hire you, get to a better place, new year, perfect time, how do they do it?
Oh, yeah. They can send me an email, Cindy at cindybakercoaching.com. Um, I'll give, you can put on your show notes, I have a free procrastination course that they can have, how to beat procrastination. It's called the Wait No More system. And that can be a good start. But send me an email. I'm on social media. They can message me there. My website is cindybakercoaching.com. I'm on Instagram as CBC underscore Cindy Baker Coaching. But email is probably where I'll respond the fastest.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent. This has
yeah.
been great, Cindy. Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for
You're
your time.
welcome.
Have a wonderful new year. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.